Hi everyone, in today's video I'm going to be showing you how to make the Snickers inspired layered cake. Now this recipe is much more complicated than my regular recipes, but I decided to share it anyways because I think this would be a great project for someone who's looking to go one step ahead in their baking journey. This is a cake inspired by Snickers. Chocolate, caramel, peanuts, and a toasty marshmallow frosting that is inspired by the nougat inside Snickers. So save this recipe for a weekend baking project. The layers of this cake are as follows: a chocolate sponge soaked with a chocolate simple syrup, a peanut praline crunch layer, a layer of peanut mousse, salty caramel sauce, a dark chocolate ganache glaze, and finally a fluffy marshmallow frosting that is toasted. So without further ado, let's get started. The first thing that we're going to be doing is making the chocolate sponge cake. This recipe is my go-to chocolate sponge cake recipe. In a large bowl, you're going to add in all of your eggs. We're going to be using whole eggs for this recipe. We don't need to separate the egg yolks and the egg whites. It's important to use room temperature ingredients for the best results. Into that, I'm going to add in the granulated sugar and use a whisk to give that a good mix until the sugar is fully incorporated into the eggs. Now I'm going to place this on a pot of steaming water like this. It doesn't have to be boiling, just nice and hot. Now you're going to whisk constantly until it feels warm to the touch. We're warming the eggs because when we whip it now, it's going to whip much easier than if we whipped cold eggs. Immediately remove it from the pot and then use an electric hand or stand mixer to beat this until it turns pale and creamy. When you're whisking the eggs on the pot of hot water, be very careful that the hot water is not touching the bottom of the bowl. We don't want the eggs to cook, we just want it to warm up. You'll know the eggs are beaten well when you pick up the beater, and when the batter pours down, it doesn't disappear very quickly. Instead, it disappears quite slowly. You're going to set that aside for now, and in a separate medium-sized bowl, combine together your unsweetened cocoa powder. I like to use Dutch processed cocoa powder for the best deep chocolate flavor. And then into that, I'm going to add some whole milk, vegetable oil, and a little bit of salt. When you're using vegetable oil, make sure to use a flavorless oil like canola or sunflower oil. Then in a separate small bowl, I'm going to combine the dry ingredients, which is baking powder and some cake flour, but all-purpose flour works as well. Then you're going to add in the dry ingredients into the whipped eggs like this, and then use a spatula to gently fold everything together. Once that's fully incorporated, go ahead and add in your cocoa and milk mixture. Sorry for the camera angle, I had no idea it was like this for a good minute. And then you're going to use a spatula to fold this in gently. You want to be really careful and make sure to get everything because a lot of the times the cocoa powder and the flour mixture usually hide on the bottom or the sides of the bowl. Once you no longer see any leftover cocoa or flour, stop mixing. You don't want to overmix and deflate the batter. You're going to add all of your batter into a prepared large baking sheet. I will leave the measurements below, and bake this for around 15 to 20 minutes until a toothpick inserted into the center comes out clean. The cake is pretty thin, so it will bake very quickly, so do keep an eye on it. Once the cake is fully baked, you're going to let that cool down completely, and then we're going to cut out our cake slices. What I did first was flip it over so that I could remove the parchment paper that was on the bottom. Then I'm going to use a 7-inch square cake ring, which is what I'm going to be assembling the cake in, to cut out 2 full squares and then 2 halves from the bottom to make 3 layers. You could also use a circle cake ring instead. That would definitely work. And if you don't have a cake ring, you can also use the sides of a spring-form pan. That would also work perfectly. Wrap the layers in some plastic wrap and pop that into the refrigerator until you're ready to use it. The cake can be made up to 2 days in advance. Now let's make the salted caramel sauce. In a medium-sized saucepan, I'm combining sugar and water. I'm going to give that a mix and place it on medium slow flame and let that caramelize until it's nice and golden brown. This process does take a while, so you do have to be patient, and if the sugar starts crystallizing on the sides, I like to use a wet pastry brush to just melt those so that it doesn't burn on the sides. Once your sugar is a nice, beautiful amber color like this, go ahead and add in your unsalted butter and give that a good mix. Be very careful because as soon as you add the butter, it is going to produce a lot of steam. Next goes in the heavy cream. Again, be careful because it's going to make a lot of steam. Give that a good mix, and then we're going to let this boil without stirring for around a minute on a medium flame. Lastly, add in your salt, give it a good mix, and turn off the heat because our caramel is ready to go. It does look a little runny as you can see, but caramel thickens up as it cools, so this is perfect. Transfer that into an airtight jar, let it cool down to room temperature, and then pop it into the refrigerator to chill completely for around 1 to 2 hours. This salted caramel sauce can be made up to a week in advance and stored in the refrigerator. Now let's make the peanut praline paste. This is basically peanuts coated in caramel and then blended to a puree. It is so rich and delicious. I'm going to be roasting this in the oven for around 10 minutes until they're nice and golden brown and aromatic. You do want to make sure to stir once or twice during the baking process so that it doesn't burn. Then in the meantime, in a medium-sized saucepan, you're going to add your granulated sugar and place this on medium-low flame and let this melt completely. At the beginning, don't use a spatula to stir, just use the handle of your saucepan to toss it around. Then later, once a lot of it is melted, you can start using a spatula. This process does take time, again, just like the caramel, so be very patient and don't make the heat high because that will burn your sugar. Once it's fully melted like this, you're going to add in some salt and give that a good mix. We're adding salt to this recipe so that it balances out the sweetness in all of the other layers. Give that a good mix, and then we're going to add in the roasted peanuts. You can buy pre-roasted peanuts to make this even easier. Quickly give that a good mix because it's going to start to get hard, so you really want to mix fast until the peanuts are fully coated in the caramel, and then transfer it out onto a lined baking tray or sheet like this. Again, work very quickly because it tends to harden in seconds. We're going to let this cool down completely until it's fully hard, just like this. And then use a rolling pin or your hands to break it up into pieces. Now I'm going to add all of these shards of peanut praline into a strong blender. You could also use a food processor and blend this until we have nice and smooth paste. This process takes around 5 minutes depending on the strength of your mixer. This is what your praline paste should look like. Nice and smooth, very runny, no lumps, just like this. I'm going to pour this into an airtight jar and then store this at room temperature. This can also be made up to 4 days in advance. Doesn't that look so good? Now it's time to make the peanut mousse. I got it confused with my last recipe and accidentally wrote down hazelnut mousse. In a medium-sized bowl, I have some chilled heavy cream. I'm going to use an electric hand mixer to beat this until soft peaks form. You want to make sure that your cream has a fat percentage of 35% or higher, otherwise it's not going to whip up. Set that aside in a separate medium-sized bowl. I'm combining together some cream cheese and peanut praline paste that we just made. You can also use mascarpone in place of the cream cheese. And then I'm going to use my electric mixer to give that a good mix until it's fully incorporated. The cream cheese or mascarpone in this recipe acts as a stabilizer, giving structure to the mousse. You could also use gelatin in place of this, but I didn't want to use gelatin for this recipe. Next, I'm going to add in some salt, again to balance out the sweetness in this dessert, and then give that a good mix. Now we're going to add this hazelnut cream cheese mixture into the whipped cream in around 2 to 3 batches, folding well between each addition. This mousse recipe is so simple. You can use this recipe for any time you want to make a quick, light dessert, even if you don't want to make an entire layered cake like I am today. You can also switch out the peanut for a different nut praline, like a hazelnut praline or an almond praline, and then you'll have an almond or hazelnut mousse. Our mousse is ready to go, and as you can see, it does look a little bit runny now, but that's okay because we're going to put it into the refrigerator and it's going to set up nicely until ready to assemble the cake. I'm going to transfer the mousse into a large piping bag, and then I'm using a bench scraper to make sure that there's no air bubbles in my piping bag. I'm going to seal it using a rubber band and then pop that into the refrigerator for at least an hour before we assemble the cake. Now let's make the peanut crunch. This is my favorite part of any cake that I make. We're going to melt some dark chocolate in the microwave in 30-second increments, mixing well between each addition. Alternatively, you can also use a double boiler. Into the melted chocolate, we're going to add some peanut praline paste that we just made. In the video, you just saw me add salted caramel sauce. I have removed that from the recipe because I found that it softens the fouettine really quickly, and I wanted that layer to remain crunchy for that added texture for the longest time possible. Give everything a good mix until it is fully incorporated. Now into this, we're going to add fouettine. This is my homemade fouettine, and if you don't know what fouettine routine is, it's basically a very thin cookie which is very crispy, and I have the recipe linked down below. I'm also adding in some chopped peanuts for an extra crunch. Give that a good mix until everything is fully coated in the chocolate. One piece of advice I have is to make the crunch layer only right before you're assembling the cake, because we want this layer to remain crunchy for the longest time possible, and our crunch layer is ready to go. Now here comes the fun part. Let's assemble this cake. I'm using a large square cake board, and then I'm going to place my cake ring that I have lined with parchment paper using butter as a glue. I'm going to place that in the middle, and I'm also using some peanut praline paste as a glue for the cake. We're going to add the first layer of chocolate sponge, and then I'm adding some chocolate simple syrup. I have the ingredients on the screen. All you have to do is mix those ingredients together, bring it to a simmer, and then let it cool down completely, and your chocolate simple syrup is ready to go. Generously brush that onto your first layer of chocolate sponge cake like this. I highly recommend that you don't skip the chocolate simple syrup, otherwise your sponge cake is going to seem very dry. It also brings out the chocolate flavor, making it ultra chocolatey. Then I'm going to pipe a border of the peanut mousse that has been chilling in the refrigerator for around an hour, so it is pretty stiff by now. Then we're going to add a thin layer of the peanut praline crunch, just like this, and then spread it out evenly so that it's nice and flat. Make sure not to add too much because a thick layer will make it hard to cut into the cake. We're going to pop this into the refrigerator for 15 minutes. Why are we doing this? Well, that's because we want the chocolate in the crunch layer to fully harden so that when we add the peanut mousse on top later, it doesn't soften up and creates a barrier between them. Next, we're going to pipe a layer of the peanut mousse, spread it out evenly, and then goes the next layer of chocolate sponge cake. For this middle layer, I'm using the 2 halves that we cut out to make one whole. And then I started piping another peanut mousse border and almost forgot to add the chocolate simple syrup, so I added that now. Next, I'm going to add around 4 tablespoons of the salted caramel sauce. But first, I thought I should probably seal the space between the 2 sponge cakes with some peanut mousse, so I did that. And then I added the remaining salted caramel sauce and then spread it out using an offset spatula. One big tip that I have here, don't add too much salted caramel sauce. You will be tempted because it's so good, but don't add too much. Not only will it ooze out of the cake, it will also make the cake too sweet. So 4 tablespoons is more than enough. Then I added on a last layer of peanut mousse to seal everything together. You can skip this and go right to the sponge cake, but I just wanted another layer of the peanut mousse because I had some. Then I added the last layer of sponge cake and added all of my remaining chocolate simple syrup, which I did run out of, but that's okay. We're going to cover the top and chill this overnight. It is best to chill this overnight. Don't take any risks because we want the mousse to fully set. We don't want anything falling or oozing out after all of that hard work. It's the next day, and today we're going to make the dark chocolate ganache glaze to cover this entire cake. This is what really brings this cake to life. In a medium-sized microwave-safe bowl, I'm combining together some heavy cream and dark chocolate along with some unsalted butter. I'm using a double boiler to melt this today, but you can also use a microwave, melting it in 30-second increments, mixing well between each addition. Once it's nice and melted and smooth, just like this, with no lumps of chocolate or butter, I'm going to pour this into a large pouring jug so that it's easier for me to pour it onto the chilled cake. And then we're going to put a thermometer in this because we're going to let this cool down to around 40 degrees Celsius. We don't want to pour burning hot chocolate onto the cake because that will just melt the mousse and it's not going to look nice, but we don't want it to be too cold, otherwise it's not going to flow nicely. I found that 40 degrees Celsius is a nice temperature in between. While that cools down, I brought the cake out of the oven, and here comes the moment of truth, trying to remove this cake ring. I used a butter knife and then gently picked it up, and I was so relieved because everything was holding together and not falling apart. I'm going to use 2 large offset spatulas and place them just like this to pick up the cake carefully and then place it onto a rack that's placed on a lined baking sheet. You do want to get some help when you're doing this because you don't want to ruin all of that work we just put into making this cake. Then you're going to start pouring the chocolate glaze starting from one side going to the next. Then use an offset spatula to just spread it out like this so that it's nice and smooth and we don't have any extra chocolate on top. And then if you need, you can also use a spatula to cover the sides. That will help really get it everywhere so that you don't have to pour too much chocolate and waste. With all this extra chocolate ganache that falls on the tray, I like to just collect it all and then use it to make truffles, or you can save it and use it for a different dessert. But remember that you don't want to put any of that chocolate ganache to waste because chocolate is quite expensive these days. I like to give it a little shake to just smoothen everything out. I let that sit on the rack for around 10 minutes before using the same method to pick it up and bring it back onto a new clean cake board. Now it's time to make the marshmallow frosting, which is inspired by the nougat that is inside a Snickers bar. I'm going to combine together an egg white with some granulated sugar and some salt, and then use a whisk to give this a good mix. What we're doing is making a Swiss meringue. So we're going to place this on a pot of simmering water, not boiling hot, and you don't want the water to touch the bowl. And we're going to beat this using a whisk, and I'm also going to use a thermometer and keep whisking constantly until it reaches around 48 degrees Celsius. You want to remove this as soon as you see 46, 45 because it will quickly go to 48 in seconds. And immediately after you remove that from the heat, use an electric mixer on high speed to beat this until stiff peaks form. This process takes around 5 to 6 minutes depending on the speed of your mixer. As you can see, that was very soft, so I'm going to keep beating it until it reaches stiff peaks. I'm going to show you what it looks like in a minute. This is what it should look like. As you can see, it's not very stiff, but it's still holding its shape. If you flip the bowl upside down, it should not fall onto your head. And then I'm going to add some vanilla extract just for some flavor, give that a good mix, and our frosting is ready to go. This marshmallow frosting is so delicious and it's so simple to make, which is why I love it. You can use this for like cupcakes and cakes as well. I'm going to add this into a piping bag fitted with a very large round tip. And then I'm just piping dollops all over one side of the cake like this. Honestly, at this point, you can decorate the cake however you'd like. You don't have to do how I did it, but this was just a way that I thought would look nice on the square cake. And then to bring this to life, we're going to toast the marshmallow frosting. I'm using a blowtorch, being very careful not to go too close to the chocolate ganache, otherwise it might melt. And don't make it too brown because we don't want to burn the marshmallow frosting either. And now to decorate, I'm going to drizzle on some more salted caramel sauce just on top of the marshmallow dollops. And then I'm going to put some peanut halves and some small chopped peanuts all around it as well. Again, you can decorate this however you'd like. And our Snickers inspired gourmet layered cake is ready to go. That was a lot of work, I admit it, but every single bite is so worth it. Not only was this such a fun project, but when you get to eat what you just made with your hands, you will not believe that you did that. Wipe your knife between each cut so that you get nice and pretty layers. All of these components work so well together. Chocolate and a caramel is definitely a win, but if you add peanuts into that mix, it's just a match made in heaven. The textures, the flavors, everything about this cake will make you want to keep going back for seconds, and I could honestly eat the entire thing by myself. And my favorite part about this cake is the crunch. It has such a delicious, rich peanut flavor while adding that perfect balance of crunch that this dessert definitely needed. The entire detailed written recipe is available on my website, thefoodflamingo.com. You can find a link to that in the description box below. You can also sign up for my newsletter where I will send you the newest recipes right to your inbox. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.